Morning, folks. Brian here. Tuesday, November 12, 2024. You want to do a puzzle together? I've done this puzzle before. See if you can figure out what the overall picture is going to be. Paul Begley, take some notes. Okay, take some notes. So most of this is coming from memory. On a day, September, I believe it was September 15, 2015, there was a construction crew doing a dig underneath the Grand Mosque in Mecca. They came across something. An ark. No, not the Ark of the Covenant. When they tried to move it, there was a large plasma discharge. Killed about 107 people. They made a second attempt 2 weeks later. And a much larger plasma type discharge killed 4,000 pilgrims. An energy discharge. You can search all this out. It's all there on the internet. Toppled down a crane, construction crane, etc. The Grand Imam called upon the Russian Orthodox Church Patriarch Kirill for assistance. I'll explain in a minute. And also called upon Putin for his assistance in something. Putin dispatched the research vessel Vladimir Minsky, or something like that, to Jeddah, the port city of Mecca, along with the Russian Navy, escort Navy, to pick something up and transport it somewhere. In March 2016, around March 19th, give or take a day, Russian Patriarch Kirill, proceeded to Havana, Cuba, where, for the first time in almost 1,000 years, the leaders of the Eastern Orthodox Church and the Roman Catholic Church Pope met, and they met in secret as well. It is believed that Pope Francis gave Patriarch Kirill a religious manuscripts which enabled the safe handling and transport of a certain ark. Now I'm going to go back to the year 1204, the Crusades. So during the Crusades, the Eastern Orthodox Church not only saved their religious manuscripts, but they also saved that of the Islamic faith from the Crusades. And they kept it in safekeeping. That's why the Grand Imam contacted Putin for his assistance. So during that time, you had the world's three most major faiths get together. Four days later, after Patriarch Kirill met the Pope in Cuba, he was hastily sent to the Antarctica. Again, you can find out all this information. Where he met the Russian fleet and performed a certain ceremony. that object was transported to an undisclosed location in the middle of the Antarctica by the Russian Special Forces. It is believed that that Ark contained the power of God and is not to be opened until the end of times. The Ark of Gabriel. Very shortly after Patriarch Kirill, K-U-R-I-L-L, left Cuba, President Obama made a visit in around March 2016, where he met Cardinal Ortega. President Obama, after spending 2 days in Cuba, proceeded to Argentina. The next day, he went to a location, southern Argentina, around March 24th. Southern Argentina is the transfer point to the Antarctica. Putin also attended the Antarctica meeting virtually. NSA Director James Clapper, who was also attending with Obama, separated at that point and went for a secret mission in a secret meeting in Australia. At the same time, the Governor General of Australia made a secret visit to Antarctica, and so on. There was a missing date in President Obama's itinerary, March 25th. Now, one person said that he was back home golfing. Whatever, could have been his double. March 25th, 2016 is a date in significance in a certain crossing of the Planet X system, which can only be observed from the Antarctica. And in fact, there is what's called the Antarctica or South Pole Observatory, a special telescope set up in the South Pole because the system can only be seen from the South Pole. In fact, this was a constructed by the University of Chicago, transported in large pieces on C-130s and C-17 Globsters. Shortly after then, in October 2016, President Obama signed Executive Order 13744, instructing the nation to prepare for solar events. Between the sun and the earth, and in brackets, outside of, therefore, the sun and the earth. Catastrophic space weather events that would affect entire continents. Are you beginning to see the picture? Let's continue. The Obamas, put aside your racial thoughts and what you think about the Obamas. Put that aside. Get rid of it. Okay. He produced the movie Leave the World Behind. My wife was actually watching that last night. She's Indonesian. She doesn't understand any of this stuff. Nothing. I was trying to explain it to her. But if you're smart enough, and if you put aside your racial overtones of what you think about the movie, you can see clearly the objective of that movie. Now, with everything happening in life, they had to have a cover story to explain certain things that are going to happen. When they announced formally through the New York Times and the Washington Post in January and December of 1983, and one more time in September of 1984 through U.S. News Weekly, whatever, the formal announcement of the discovery of the Planet X system. They had to come up with a cover story to explain the catastrophic Earth changes from the gravitational impact Earth wobble. So that's when they came up with the man-made global warming narrative, and they appointed Al Gore and John Kerry to head it up. They're not stupid. The people who think they're stupid are stupid because they are simply actors. They know. Cover story. Going back to Leave the World Behind, the cover story, the plot for that movie was cyber attacks. So in that movie, they are going to tell you what is going to be happening, but they have to use the cover story, the cyber attacks. If you're smart, attentive, you pay attention. I've done this video a few times. In some of the opening scenes, they show a large celestial object, not fully circle, but obviously a large celestial object behind the satellite and behind the Earth, but much closer to the Earth than the Sun. They did that very cleverly. You want to know why? If you research the Chilean astronomer, scientist Carlos Ferreira, who put in almost 59 years research into the system that he calls Herculebus, by his calculations, he said that Herculebus will pass by the Earth 14 million kilometers of Earth. To put that into perspective, the Sun is 150 million kilometers from Earth. In my opinion, they did that scene very good. He also describes Herculebus as a red planet or system, star, failed star. Other scenes in the movies, the high-pitched tone. What have I been teaching sometimes? That when you have a large enough flare, the initial flare, the hard X-ray hit, sometimes, and with radiation storms, we have a ringing in our ears. If you have a very large series of events on the Sun, it's going to be intense. I'm going to stop for a minute. In December 1957, they recorded 855 sunspots. It scared them. On December 24 and December 25, 1957, there were 305 sunspots. Now I'm driving, I'm going by memory. It may have been 805 total, and then for those 2 days, 355. Nevertheless, it scared the crap out of them. Something happened on the Sun. Something also happened on the Moon. They very hastily then formed NASA in about 5 months because they had to get up to the Moon. Anyway, I'm going to go back. The girl in the movie wearing the NASA t-shirt. Ringing in the ears. Something happened in the movie on the Sun. The flamingos all of a sudden landing in the swimming pool. Birds and animals, reptiles, need stable magnetic field lines for navigational purposes. Something hit the Earth very hard and disrupted the magnetic field lines causing the birds to ground themselves. The disorientated deers. Deers and cows will align their bodies to the magnetic field lines facing north when they want to lie down at rest. It's truth. Look it up. The deers were confused. Something hit the earth hard. Caused intense ringing in the ears. Grounded the birds. Deers were confused. In the scene on the bedroom wall, there were 3 separate scenes. The mural behind the bed of the ocean. Scene 1, the water was about here, relatively calm. Scene 2, later on in the movie, the water height was up here. It's getting rougher. Scene 3, and they are standing in the bedroom, and the water level is like way up there, and it's very intense. It's very rough. Something happened to the oceans. In the Bible, in Luke 21, verse 25, it tells you what happens, sort of. That nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing and changing tides of the seas. From the gravitational effect, Earth wobble from the planet system coming in. No one's ever explained the changing mural in the bedroom, except for you know who. The scene of the so-called nuclear explosions in the city? Bullshit. Why were helicopters still flying around? Helicopters wouldn't be flying around still. Massive induced current caused explosions of the main power stations in the cities. The planes crashing, of course. Knocking out GPS and so forth. The one scene of the black actor, sorry, I don't remember his name. He knew what was going on. And when Julia Roberts asked him, he said, quote, "The truth is much scarier," end quote. He knew what was going down, which is why in his home, he had a home underneath his home, underground, with the food storage. They're sending you messages. The scenes of the radiation. Radiation from the sun hits. You can apply every single one of those scenes to what would happen if you have a large celestial body getting really close, also triggering the sun. But no, they have to use the cover story of these cyber attack. You're cluing in now.